Does anyone else feel like they need a break from blockbusters? I mentioned this in my last video, but it feels like all that movie studios are releasing is just blockbuster after blockbuster. It's just non-stop, constant repeat, back to back, and when there's an overabundance of something, it starts to lose its value. I've been wondering if the iconic summer blockbuster is even a thing anymore. I don't know, up to interpretation. For the sake of my YouTube career, I'm still gonna force myself to check out these big movies. They're not all bad, but for the sake of my personal sanity, I will always support smaller indie films. They hold such a special place in my heart, and more people should be talking about them and supporting them. So here's Hellbent on Boogie. Disclaimer as usual, these are just my opinions. Feel free to comment yours, just remember to be respectful. The film stars Shiloh Fernandez as Alan, a young man with a troubled past who decides to go back home to see his family. His little sister, Quinn, who is played by Ruibal, is homeschooled by her overbearing mother and also works at a grocery store. When Alan returns home, he wants to make amends by helping his sister and working for the local pastor, who is played by John Farley. But when Alan learns of how their mother is treating Quinn, he creates a plan for them to run away so Quinn can pursue her dream of becoming a professional dancer. The film has such a nostalgic feel to it, which is strange for me because I grew up in New York and the film is set in Florida. My upbringing did not look like this movie at all, but I was still able to feel so many emotions from this warm atmosphere. That's a credit to how strong the writing is and a credit to how strong the cinematography is. It was able to capture these small town moments in such a beautiful and intimate way. But the strongest part of this film is the characters and the universal themes they bring to this story. Alan is a fantastic lead. He's coming back home to make amends with his family, yet his past keeps catching up with him. He's also working for the local pastor to build trust. But you can kind of tell that he's not only trying to make amends with others, he's trying to make amends with himself to prove that he's changed and he's doing good now. But you can start to see the cracks showing in Alan. He's not happy. It feels like he's constantly on edge, and his guard is always up in order to protect himself. The only times you see him lower his walls is when he's with his little sister. Honestly, I think the sibling relationship was the best part of the movie. I personally have 3 sisters, 1 older and 2 younger, and I saw a lot of us through the characters of Quinn and Alan. I understand that desire of wanting to do things for your sibling in order to heal a relationship, because sometimes you think your actions will speak louder, but sometimes the best thing you can do is just stay and be there for them. Another part of the film that I enjoyed is the fact that there wasn't a traditional villain. No one was the big bad guy that had to be defeated. Instead, the film felt rooted in reality, where the main conflict was a lack of understanding. While the mother is portrayed as controlling and overbearing at times, she's actually acting out of fear. After experiencing the loss of her husband, she's terrified of losing her daughter too. Alan also isn't the perfect brother and hero here to save his sister. He does want to help her, but his own unresolved grief, trauma, and guilt holds him back. This movie is all about the importance of healing and having empathy. I can go on and on about the writing and performances, but I think it's better to hear it from the actual people who made this movie. I was super lucky to have gotten the chance to speak with Vito, the writer and director of the film, and Alyx, the star. We hopped on a Zoom call to talk. I hope you enjoy. We'll just get straight to it. I love this film so much. I feel so lucky that I was able to see it, and it just spoke to me in so many ways, and I would love to ask you guys some questions about it because I am planning on making a YouTube video speaking about it, and I know my audience will love it too. The first question is for you, Vito. Personally for me, what spoke out to me the most was the themes of self-expression and rebellion and youth. I was wondering if that was drawn from any personal experiences or people in your life.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the whole film was definitely like an introspection. I split Alan and Quinn to 2 parts of my brain, and I was able to have this a conversation with myself on dreams and cynicism and stuff through that. There's a few people in my family. I always seem to be grabbing a few things from different places, and sometimes it's hard to even know where it comes from. I can't say directly, definitely in my own life though. I mean, when I was younger, I was diagnosed with heavy ADHD, and then had to go to extensive reading classes and things like that. And I remembered always hating the labeling. Like I was just always like, I'm not that though. I feel like I can read fine. Like I don't understand. And so I would be like overcompensating. And then I read a lot of books and like just to like try to get my page count and stuff. And so I think there's some of that, maybe subconsciously pulling into it. I can't say directly it's inspired by anyone, but the entire film is like, I'm pulling from different places from like a deeply personal place and trying to like examine them through writing and then somehow I block it onto a movie.
While doing research, I saw that this was your first movie, which is huge. Congratulations.
Thank you.
I was wondering, how did you physically and emotionally prepare for this role? Because it requires a lot of like the dance routines and also the emotional journey your character goes on. So how did you personally prepare?
The biggest thing for me, honestly, of course, emotionally getting into the character was huge. I feel like though, what was interesting was emotionally it was wearing her clothes. A lot of Quinn's wardrobe was things that, you know, I ended up, you know, buying and then bringing to set. And then of course our lovely wardrobe person Marissa ended up selecting and bringing her own things, and we ended up putting all these outfits together. So I feel like being in her shoes, I feel like, you know, it was interesting. Vito and I had to really discuss a lot about what Quinn was supposed to be. And originally it was kind of supposed to be me, but just with a different name. And then as like we got into really, it just totally changed as we got shooting. Physically, I would say I ran on the treadmill for 3 hours a day to prepare, because we shot like, when we did any dance days, it was really intense. So I needed to do a lot of cardio. I don't know if Vito knows this, but I ran on the treadmill like 3 hours a day for like 2-3 months.
I didn't know it was that long. That sounds crazy. That sounds crazy. But thinking about the dance sequence, like we went 2 days of like 6 hours. So you were
even just my rehearsals were 6 hours each.
Yeah. You had a long day.
Yeah, and then I vomited at the end of like my second rehearsal. Like I kept dancing after, but like it was like I was like, yeah, no, I needed to do that cardio for those months preparing. I don't know what would have happened on set if I didn't.
Oh my goodness. Well, I get tired walking to my bus stop, so I don't know how you did it. Well,
you build up to it.
You're right.
You build up to it.
It's the stamina.
You start with like 30 minutes, and then you work your way to 45, and then you work your way for an hour, and then an hour and 15.
Well, your hard work definitely paid off. I loved watching your dance performances. It was so cool. Yeah. I noticed that this character's fashion is very distinctive. How do you think their clothing choices reflect their emotional journey and personality?
She's very authentic, but she also she's smarter than people think she is. And sometimes you kind of see that through her clothes as well. Like her outfits are fun and they're creative. I've always said that fashion is like a statement on somebody's intelligence. And so how you put things together is like, so when I get a compliment on my outfit, I'm like, oh, like that's not just a compliment to my outfit, that's a compliment to how I put it together. And I feel like the way Quinn puts things together, it's like, it's not as much talked about, but like,
she also had like utility.
Smarter than she thinks she is.
Well, because also
everyone thinks she is.
Well, the hair ties and stuff was like to keep it from bothering her. It was like to keep her hair up and stuff. So there's like little things that like equally look like she's a little too old to be wearing it, which is kind of the point of the character. Like the mother is sheltering her into a point of like further adolescence and not giving her a chance to do things. And I think so some of that, it's like twofold. You're like, that's a little young for a 17-year-old to be, or like a little cutesy, but then also it's like to help with her like sort of stimming and stuff so that her hair isn't bothering her and things like that. So, but it was, so much of that was cool to see Alyx come to set, and then just like her and Marissa, just like scientists in a lab, just like putting things together and figuring it out. And it's cool what she said. It did start with like, I want somebody who is autistic to play this so that I don't have to force anything. We're just like observing mannerisms. But pretty quickly, it was discovered Alyx is like a genius actor and like was able to, I think, correct me and not to go off too much, but she said like, Quinn is me without the little tricks I gained over the years. So Quinn's just more sheltered and doesn't have these techniques to take on things like going to the gas station and buying some some snacks and stuff. Like, she doesn't have the sort of rigorous things that you went through because she's been more sheltered. And I think then you were able to separate, and then you were able to see her as a character. And yeah, it was just magic. It was just every take always on, like always on. Like, it was never Alyx that was ever causing any. It was just every single time. And then understanding continuity. Yeah, it was such a blessing. But that was, yeah, to speak to the clothing was the tips on the hair and stuff. There's some utility to what she wears.
I love that. That's so cool. I've always been like fascinated by how like wardrobe and hair can like tell a story too. I was actually wondering, did any of the characters or roles evolve over the filming process? Like as you guys got to collab with like the hair and makeup team, or did it remain the same since Vito, since you sat down and wrote the script?
I'd say what Alyx added to Quinn, because Quinn was there on paper. I mean, we're such a small crew. We're like 2 Airbnbs. She was living at the Christian retreat. Shiloh was like playing tennis shirtless at the Christian retreat. And like people were walking around like, is that the actor that's doing the movie? But there were so many times I was driving Alyx just to and back and forth from the Airbnb, back to the thing. So we'd have these deep talks, and like, it was amazing because this is my freshman film in a way. My other feature I did, I was 21, and it was with non-actors, just like friends I was trying to get to act. And so like working with Shiloh, who was like a real veteran actor that like had all these tricks and things and understanding of all these things, and then watch Alyx blossom into understanding a character, and then knowing like where am I in that character? How can I understand what she's going through? Was amazing to see, honestly. It was really magical, and it's something about it felt like you wind it up and then you let it go. The work was done in the casting. You pick the right people. They understand it. They get it emotionally. It was kind of amazing. Like, I always thought I'd have to and I was kind of just watching my movie. I wasn't seeing acting. I was seeing like characters, and it's so hard to get to that point. So yeah, it seems magical. As far as evolving, yeah, I mean, little by little, but nothing major. I think most of the script I just was on Reddit screenwriting the other day and sharing the script, and most of the script's there. But I would say Alyx added a lot of shades to Quinn that deepened things and pulled it out from the page even more so than maybe I had written. I just heard a quote the other day was, when you're reading a script as an actor, you have to think like, how would I get to a point where I'm doing these things? I think as a first-time director, it was just seeing Shiloh and Alyx go through that process on the characters that I had written for 4 years. It was really magical. So like, I wound it up and kind of let them take it at a certain point. You kind of, as equally as they have trust in me, I have trust in them.
I love that. I was also wondering, well, you said it took you 4 years to write the script, you said?
Yeah, it was like almost 5. Yeah, but it was always evolving and changing.
What was the first scene or moment that came to you when you first sat down to write the script? Or even before you sat down to write, did you have an image in your head of what you wanted first, or?
That's a really interesting, yeah, too. Alan coming over the bridge and the zooming shot of Quinn dancing in the montage. Those 2 images, for whatever, just like from first draft till now, they stuck. Alan comes over the crest of the hill as if he knows the secret to the universe. It was like what I wrote. And it's funny that two of my favorite posters are those 2 images. It's such a cool thing to just see it all the way through. From these images in my head, and then you actually find a bridge. You're like, that works. That's okay. The sun's not behind him in my head, but the orange thing actually works better. Yeah. And then to see it all the way now, it's really cool. But those 2 images were definitely from the first draft to all the way through were always held.
That's really beautiful. Alyx, my next question is for you. Were there any moments in the film where you got to improvise? And if so, could you share a favorite?
So one thing I am is I'm very good at memorizing things. I'm very good at memorizing a script. Not just memorize it, but I will learn it front and back, and I will really absorb it. But the really cool thing is that I love working with Vito because he let us kind of, after the scene was over, do what we wanted. So for example, 2 big ones being, actually we just posted about it on Instagram the other day, was the scene where Shiloh and Quinn run away. The whole thing with the sunglasses and her and him saying, oh, nice shades, and then her saying they're not mine, that's not written. And neither is when Rachel says to Quinn, when they're talking about after the competition and they're about to watch AGT, she's asking, and they're talking about the different contestants, and then she says oh, you should try out. That whole section was not in there either. So there's like little bits and pieces that are really just our personal touches, and it's not even, I would say, personal touches. They're like our continuation on like Vito's ideas. He's so open to it, and he holds on to, of course, his words, because like we honor them, and we hold on to them as well. But like he's open to us putting our own interpretation and like letting us have an extension of it.
You know, that's really cool that you say that, because I really love that AGT line, even though it was like really brief, because Quinn just went through like this really honestly heartbreaking experience of kind of having her dreams crushed. And then there's like just that one line just offered like a crack in the window of like a little bit of hope for the future, you know, and just like encouraged me to keep on pursuing the dreams. So it's really cool to learn that it was actually improvised.
Yeah, her saying like, I can't even make a dance team was not in there.
Well,
like that was not in there. Like I was like, it was.
We shot that scene twice.
Yeah, we had
like,
shot it
yeah.
originally on a swing set.
Yeah,
I'll let you finish.
No, it's just like locations move, and you're always like trying to figure out things. So we shot it on a swing set. There was some improv in there, and then so when we got to film it again, I think it was like we had practiced it twice, so we were able to like pull some more things out. I love discovering things. I like pretend time. I like making movies. You're doing adult pretend time, so like why would you not pretend like and have fun with the pretending aspect of it and like take it as far as you can? And yeah, that discussion was supposed to be super as natural as can be. So just letting the actors find whatever they feel, and then, you know what I mean, as long as it's like within the rails of what we got going, it's fine.
This next question is for both of you. What have you learned about yourself from making this film and playing Quinn? What have you learned about your creative process or just yourself as a person?
I think I learned a lot from Quinn. Another big difference between Quinn and I was that like Quinn, I think being, you know, autistic, of course, like you learn the tips and tricks to like get by. And Quinn, since she was so sheltered, she never learned the tips and tricks, quote unquote, but like she never had to. She never learned them because she never needed them. Not like in a way of like she never like, because she never left her house or she never left the retreat. She got to keep like her inner child, I guess. And for me, I think like remembering that like having my inner child is cool too. Like you don't need to grow up so fast. And that I think something I took away from like creatively was like really getting to wear somebody else's shoes is a really cool experience. And I love the idea of like you kind of get to take a piece of them with you afterward. And I loved getting to like step into Quinn's world and bring a little bit of her world with me after set too. It was kind of fun.
That's so funny hearing you say that, Alex. That's like serendipitous, because what I'm writing about, that's like the theme of it, is like how much of your inner child do you like kill with adulting, and then how much do you have to hold on to keep some sort of spark?
Yeah.
That's so funny. I mean, maybe it's subconsciously what I was writing about with Hellbent. I mean, that's what she is. She's very pure in a way, and then Shiloh or Alan is like this. He's been out there doing crime and stuff, and so there's even in Hellbent, it seems like there's some like yin and yang of just
Alan
like
had to grow up too fast, and Quinn didn't need to grow up, and Quinn wasn't asked to grow up at all.
Yeah, that's literally what I'm dealing with again, and what I'm writing next. It's funny. Yeah, I like to discover things. So I guess I discovered with this movie just like a little bit more maybe endurance than I thought I had. Like even on the back end of this movie, like it's been so long, like this story and stuff. So I guess I've like learned that I have like a real endurance and like a real obsession of things that I can see them through. Holding on to that inner child, how much do you take with you? What
do you hope the audience feels when the movie ends and the credit rolls?
Wow. I mean, definitely hopeful, but I always thought like the movie doesn't like cut you deep. The end, it's almost, I always thought you should go like, oh, okay, and then move on with your day. Like there's like a nice little moment where it seems sad. She gets this job that she wanted. He's the tornado that rips through and opens the birdcage for her to just fly out and do her own thing, to make that decision to go work there. And then you get that little nugget of she's like praying, like, you know, to God if you bring him home again. And there's a little so it's like, does God do it or not? But And he comes over, the music is so key there, I think, for me. There's like a real like determination to the music. It's so like optimistic and hopeful, but it's got like timpanis and stuff that's like marching. Yeah, I don't know, it's just this like little pop of like dopamine, and cute sounds wrong, but there's like a cutesiness or an innocence to it, I think that I'd want you to feel. Yeah, if that answers the question about being too gray.
Alyx, what do you hope the audience feels when the movie ends?
Kind of along the same lines as Vito, and with that, like that oh moment, but like also like a little bit of like maybe something that they take away, like as maybe just like you know, we talked about with the whole inner child thing, but also just like really, oh, maybe I'm a little bit more like them than I think. I don't know. I walked out of the theater the first time when I watched it at the film festival, and I was like, It was weird because I was like, I thought I was going to be watching myself, and then I was watching myself act, but like I really was like, I was like, oh wait, like her and I are two different people. But when I walked out of the theater the first time, I think for myself it was one shock, and then but beyond that it was like loving what we made, and then after that it was, oh, I think everyone's kind of more like them than we think.
For sure. I think the themes of this movie are very like universal, and like no matter like a person's background or like where they came from or who they are, like I feel like we can all relate. I think we can all embrace our inner child a little more, you know, and learn from who we are. Thank you so much for doing this interview. It was so nice meeting you guys, and I know my YouTube audience is going to love this movie just as much as I loved it. Thank you so much for watching. Again, these are just my opinions. Feel free to comment yours. Just remember to be respectful. Follow me on Instagram and Letterboxd to see what I'm up to and what I'm watching. So yeah, subscribe if you want. Have a great day. Bye.